I spent $500 on a private room for my birthday. No one came. An hour later, my sister posts a family night photo from across town. So I cut them all off. The rent, the car insurance, everything. The next morning, my phone started screaming. The glow from my dual monitors is the only light in the room, casting long, skeletal shadows across the exposed brick of my loft. It's almost 11 p.m. On the left screen is a set of structural blueprints for a commercial high-rise, a project that's been consuming my life for the better part of a year. But my attention is on the right screen. On it, a 3D rendering of a small, A-frame cabin rotates slowly. It's all cedar and glass, nestled amongst pine trees on the edge of a deep blue lake. There's a stone fireplace, a wide deck, and a single dock stretching out into the water. It's my dream, my escape, a project with a client of one, me. For the past 5 years, I've been tinkering with the design, saving for the land, telling myself next year. My phone buzzes on the desk, a harsh vibration that shatters the quiet. I glance at the screen. The name flashes, Cody, my younger brother. A familiar, heavy sigh escapes my lips. I let it ring twice more before swiping to answer, already knowing the script. Jules? Hey man, you up? His voice is a little too fast, a little too high-pitched. It's his tell. I'm up, Cody. What's wrong? I keep my own voice flat, leaning back in my chair and rubbing my tired eyes. Dude, you're not going to believe this. The transmission on my car just gave up. Exploded. I'm stranded, and the tow truck guy is saying it's going to be like $2,000. Minimum. I don't have it, man. I just paid rent. I swivel my chair to look out the massive industrial window at the glittering city lights below. $2,000. I picture the line item in my budget for the plot of land by the lake. This call just pushed it back another month. Maybe 2. Where are you? I ask, my voice devoid of the surprise he probably expected. There's no surprise left. I'm the chief engineer of my family's never-ending cascade of problems. I don't design solutions. I just fund them. Some side street off the interstate. Look, I hate to ask, I swear I do. But I'm screwed. I need to get to work tomorrow. Can you know? I know. Of course I know. I minimize the image of my dream cabin, the warm glow of its virtual fireplace disappearing from view. I open my banking app. The movements are automatic, a muscle memory I've developed over a decade of these calls. I'll transfer it. I say, just text me the garage's details in the morning. Oh man, Julian, you're a lifesaver. For real. I swear I'll pay you back, every cent. The lie is so familiar it's almost comforting. I've heard it 100 times. The blueprints for that promise were never drawn up, and construction never broke ground. Just get home safe, Cody, I say, and hang up before he can offer any more empty assurances. I stare at the blank monitor for a long moment, the reflection showing a tired, 34-year-old man who's an expert at building things for everyone but himself. My loft, which I designed and renovated myself, is my only sanctuary. It's a testament to my taste, my success, but it's also a fortress of solitude, a place I retreat to after propping up the crumbling walls of my family's finances. This is what it means to be the successful one. You're not a person, you're a utility, a public works project, necessary infrastructure, but never invited to the party. My 35th birthday is in 2 weeks. The thought lands with a thud. Another year gone. Another year of being the reliable, quiet, and ever-present safety net. And I suddenly feel an ache, a desperate need for one night where I'm not the engineer, not the ATM, not the savior. Just Julian, a brother, a son. Just for one night, I want to feel like a part of the family, not the one bankrolling it. The idea takes root over the next few days. It starts as a whisper and grows into a concrete plan. I'm not going to wait for them to remember or to make a half-hearted gesture. I'm going to design the evening myself. No big party. I hate big parties. Just something small, something with a bit of class. Something that says, this matters. I spend an afternoon researching restaurants. I bypass the trendy, loud places my sister Eliza loves, the ones with concrete floors and menus you need a dictionary to decipher. I settle on La Stella, a classic, family-run Italian place in the suburbs. It's quiet, it's got deep leather booths, and I know for a fact my dad loves their veal parmesan. It's closer to their side of town, so no one can complain about the drive. I call and make the reservation. We have a private dining area, the Vino room, the manager tells me. It seats up to 10. There's a $500 non-refundable deposit to hold it for a Saturday night. $500. It's steep, but the thought of having our own space, free from distractions, feels worth it. I'll take it, I say, reading off my credit card number without hesitation. I'm booking my own birthday party. The irony isn't lost on me. That evening, I draft the invitation. It's not a casual text. I use a proper email service, choosing a simple, elegant template. Subject, you're invited. A birthday dinner for Julian. I write a short, warm note. Hello, everyone. To celebrate my 35th birthday, I've booked a private room for an intimate family dinner. I'd love for all of you to join me for a quiet evening of good food and conversation. No gifts necessary. Your presence is the only present I need. I list the time, the date, and the address for La Stella. I double-check every detail before sending it to the list. Mom, Dad, my sister Eliza, and her husband Greg, my brother Cody. The replies, or lack thereof, are telling. Mom calls almost immediately. Oh, honey, that's so sweet. You don't have to do all that for us. There's a subtle emphasis on US, as if I'm throwing a party in their honor. My dad sends a text. Sounds good, son. Cody replies to the email with a single word. In. From Eliza, my older sister and the family's self-appointed social director, I get a text message 2 days later. Just a single letter. K. I'm at work, reviewing a set of mechanical drawings with Arthur, a senior structural engineer on the verge of retirement. He's a man of few words, but the ones he chooses are always load-bearing. He sees the K on my phone screen and raises a white eyebrow. That the response to your party invitation? He asks, his voice a low rumble. I nod, trying to brush it off. She's busy. Arthur turns his gaze from the blueprints to me. He looks at me for a long moment, his eyes seeing more than I'm comfortable with. Make sure the foundation for that evening is for you, Julian, not for them. He taps a finger on the drawing. A structure built entirely on obligation is bound to collapse. His words hang in the air long after he's walked away. I tell myself he's being cynical. I tell myself my family loves me. They're just careless. But deep down, a cold knot of dread begins to form in my stomach. I've sent out the blueprints for a perfect evening. I just have to pray that someone bothers to show up to the construction site. The night of my birthday arrives with a crisp, autumn chill in the air. I spend a little extra time getting ready. I wear a new blazer, a deep navy wool that I bought for a client meeting but never wore. I comb my hair. I look at myself in the mirror. I look like a man who has his life together. I look like a man about to be celebrated by his family. It feels like a costume. I arrive at La Stella 15 minutes early. The maitre d' greets me warmly. Mr. Hayes, welcome. The Vino room is all set for you. Happy birthday. He leads me through the bustling main dining room to a heavy wooden door at the back. He opens it, and for a second my breath catches. It's perfect. A long, dark wood table is set for 7, with gleaming silverware and wine glasses. A single, elegant floral arrangement sits in the center. In the corner, on a small credenza, is the cake I ordered, a tiramisu, my favorite, with Happy 35th Julian written in delicate chocolate script. Can we get you a drink while you wait for your party to arrive? The maitre d' asks. A bourbon, please. Neat. He nods and closes the door, leaving me in the beautiful, silent room. I run a hand over the back of a chair. I adjust a fork. I feel a flicker of genuine excitement. This was a good idea. This will be good. 7 p.m. comes and goes. The time on the invitation. I sip my bourbon. They're always late. Eliza is notorious for running on what she calls her own time. I'm not worried. At 7:20, I pull out my phone and scroll through work emails just to have something to do. The silence in the room is starting to feel less like peaceful anticipation and more like a vacuum. At 7:35, the first real pang of anxiety hits. I open my family's group chat. My thumb hovers over the keyboard. I want to seem casual, not needy. Hey, running late? I type. It sounds accusatory. I delete it. Everything okay? I type next. It sounds worried. I delete that too. Finally, I settle on. I'm here at La Stella. The room is great. I had a thumbs up emoji that feels like a lie. I hit send. I watch the screen. One by one, the little icons pop up beneath my message, indicating it's been read. Mom, Dad, Eliza, Cody, Greg, all of them. Seen. No one replies. The bourbon suddenly tastes bitter. A knot tightens in my chest. It's embarrassment, hot and prickly. I feel the phantom eyes of the restaurant staff on the closed door of my empty room. They know. They know I'm the guy who booked a private room for a party of one. At 8 p.m., an hour after the reservation, a young waiter pokes his head in. He has a kind face, which somehow makes it worse. His eyes are full of a gentle, professional pity that makes me want to crawl under the table. Sir, can I get you another drink? Or perhaps some bread for the table? For the table. I look at the 6 empty chairs surrounding me. I'll wait another 10 minutes. I manage to say, my voice sounding strained. Thanks. He gives me a small, sad smile and retreats. I'm alone again with the flickering candles and the untouched silverware. I stare at my phone, at the group chat that is still silent. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't traffic. It wasn't a last-minute diaper explosion for my niece. This is something else. This is deliberate. My heart isn't just sinking anymore. It feels like it's being crushed. Just as I'm about to give up and ask for the check, my phone buzzes. Not with a text, but with a notification. The familiar, cheerful little icon for Instagram. My heart gives a stupid, hopeful leap. Maybe it's a post from Eliza, a picture of them in the car on their way here, with a caption like, running late, but coming for you, birthday boy. I tap the notification. The screen loads, and the air is punched out of my lungs. It's a new post from my sister, Eliza. A photo. A group photo, taken at a table that is not in this restaurant. It's a loud, trendy steakhouse across town, the kind with exposed Edison bulbs and waiters in leather aprons. And everyone is there. Everyone. My mother is beaming, holding up a glass of red wine. My father is next to her, a fixed smile on his face. My brother Cody is making a goofy face, his arms slung around Eliza's husband, Greg, who is grinning from ear to ear. And in the center is Eliza, holding her phone up for the selfie, looking triumphant. They're all bathed in the warm, happy glow of a place I was not invited to. My blood runs cold. I can't breathe. I can't look away. My eyes are glued to the caption she wrote beneath the photo. Spontaneous family night. So grateful for the real ones. Hashtag blessed, hashtag family first. The real ones. My mind feels like it's short-circuiting. It doesn't make sense. It's a mistake. A horrible, cruel coincidence. But then I scroll down and see the comments. My Aunt Susan has written, looks like fun. Missing Julian. And then the final, devastating blow. Eliza's reply to her, posted just 3 minutes ago. He had his own plans tonight, I think. Needed some quiet time. Smiley face. The smiley face feels like a knife twisting in my gut. My own plans. They didn't just forget. They didn't just blow me off. They actively, consciously erased my existence from the evening and created a cover story. They constructed a narrative where I was the one who chose to be absent. I was the one who needed quiet time. My plans were to be sitting at this very table, with them. My plans were to eat this tiramisu cake that sits untouched in the corner. My plans were to finally feel like I was a part of my own family. A wave of nausea washes over me. I feel my hands start to shake. This wasn't an oversight. This was a message, a declaration. They were showing me, in the most public and humiliating way possible, exactly where I stood. I was not one of the real ones. I stand up, so quickly my chair scrapes loudly against the floor. The sound echoes in the empty room. I fumble in my wallet, pulling out $100 bill and leaving it on the table for the bourbon I barely drank. I don't even look at the cake as I walk towards the door. I can't. I walk through the main dining room with my head down, avoiding the eyes of the staff. I push through the front door into the cold night air and gasp, my lungs finally remembering how to work. The street lights seem too bright. The sounds of the city are deafening. I feel like a fool, a complete and utter fool. And as I walk towards my car, the humiliation begins to curdle, solidifying into something else. Something harder, colder, and much, much sharper. Clarity. The drive home is a silent movie of streetlights and blurred traffic. My mind is a slideshow of past slights, little moments of exclusion I had previously written off as carelessness. This new, brutal clarity is the lens that brings them all into sharp focus. There was the Christmas 2 years ago when they moved the family dinner to my cousin's house at the last minute and forgot to tell me. I showed up at my parents' empty house and waited for an hour before a text from Cody casually mentioned the change of venue, as if it were a minor detail. There was Eliza's daughter's christening last year. I paid for the entire catering spread, a generous gift I was happy to give. But during her toast, Eliza tearfully thanked her husband Greg for making this whole beautiful day happen. She never mentioned my name. I was a footnote on the invoice, nothing more. The flashback hits me with the force of a physical blow. It's my 30th birthday. I had a weekend trip planned with friends, a rare escape to go hiking in the mountains. 2 days before, my mom called in a panic. The kitchen needed to be repainted urgently before a distant relative visited. Could I please help? It would mean the world. I canceled my trip. I spent my entire birthday weekend in a fume-filled kitchen, taping baseboards and rolling paint. My friends are disappointed, but I told them, it's family. I later found out the urgent visit was a flimsy excuse. The real reason was that Cody had just been dumped, and my parents wanted me around to keep an eye on him, to be his emotional support animal. They didn't ask, they tricked me. They valued my utility over my joy. Each memory is another brick in a wall they've been building around me for years. A wall that separates me from them. Tonight at the restaurant, I wasn't just on the other side of the wall. I finally realized I was the one who had been unknowingly funding its construction. I get back to my loft and sit on my couch in the dark, the city lights outside offering no comfort. I don't feel sad anymore. I feel hollowed out. I open my phone and look at the picture again. The smiling faces. The hashtag blessed. The rage that begins to bubble up is cold and quiet. It's an architect's rage, not the explosive anger of a demolition crew, but the calculated fury of seeing a foundation deliberately built on a lie. I could call them. I could scream. I could demand an explanation I know would be a tapestry of gaslighting and excuses. But what would that achieve? More empty words. More false promises. Instead, I do something else. I open my laptop. Not my design software. Not my email. I open a simple spreadsheet I started years ago as a private joke, a file titled Family Financial Support. I never meant to do anything with it. It was just a way to track the bleeding. I scroll through the tabs. Mom's rent. Dad's car insurance. Cody's phone plan. Eliza and Greg's anniversary dinner last year, which I'd covered as a gift. Emergency loans that were never repaid. The list goes on. I look at the grand total at the bottom of the screen. Over the last 5 years, it's well over $60,000. I stare at the number. It represents more than money. It represents canceled trips, delayed dreams, and thousands of moments where I put their needs before my own. With a strange sense of calm, I open my banking app. Mom's monthly rent payment to her apartment complex. Scheduled for the 1st. I click at it, then cancel recurring payment. A pop-up asks, "Are you sure?" I press confirm. Dad's car insurance premium. Automated. Canceled. Cody's cell phone bill. Canceled. I go down a list, one by one. The shared streaming service account that they all use but I pay for. Canceled. Each click is a demolition charge. Precise. Controlled. I am not destroying them. I am dismantling the system they created. I am erasing the blueprints of my own servitude. When I'm done, I feel a profound, terrifying lightness. I open Instagram one last time. I go my story. I upload a single photo, the untouched tiramisu cake, sitting alone in the warm light of the Vino room. I add a simple, declarative caption. No tags, no hashtags, just a statement of fact. A quiet night. Reminder, I'm the one who pays Mom's rent and Dad's car insurance. I post it, and then I turn my phone off. Let the silence I've been paying for finally reach them. I actually sleep. For the first time in what feels like months, I sleep deeply, dreamlessly, and wake up not to the familiar weight of dread, but to a strange, unnerving silence. I had turned my phone off, a move so out of character it felt like a declaration of independence. It's 8 a.m. on a Sunday. I make coffee, the real kind, grinding the beans myself. The ritual is calming. I feel like I'm reclaiming my own morning, my own space. Around 9, curiosity gets the better of me. I turn my phone on. It's like activating an emergency broadcast system. The screen explodes. A cascade of notifications floods the lock screen. A frantic digital waterfall. 7 missed calls, Mom. 3 missed calls, Dad. 12 new texts. I open the messages, my coffee cup warming my hands. It's a masterclass in deflection and panicked confusion. Mom, 7:15 a.m. honey. Good morning. Hope you had a nice quiet night. Call me when you get this. Mom, 8:30 a.m. Julian. I just tried to check my bank balance, and the monthly transfer from you isn't showing as pending. I think there might be a glitch with the bank. Can you look into it? The rent is due this week. A glitch, right? A glitch in the matrix of her entitlement. Dad, 8:45 a.m. Hey, son. Got a strange email from Geico saying my policy is pending cancellation for non-payment. Did you forget to update your car details? Let me know. Need to drive your mother to her doctor's appointment on Tuesday. He doesn't ask if I'm okay. He doesn't mention my birthday. He asks if I've dropped the ball on my duties. It's a message from a manager to an underperforming employee. And then there's Eliza. Oh, Eliza. Her texts are a journey. Eliza, 7:30 a.m. That was a pretty passive-aggressive story you posted. What's that about? Eliza, 8:50 a.m. Mom, just called me freaking out about the rent. What did you do? Eliza, 9:05 a.m. This is so incredibly childish, Julian. You're punishing Mom and Dad because your feelings got hurt? If you were upset about the dinner, you could have just said something instead of pulling a stunt like this. You need to fix this now. You're scaring them. I'm scaring them. Not her for organizing a secret dinner that excluded me. Not them for going along with it. Me for reacting. The gaslighting is so potent, it's almost impressive. She's framing my response to their cruelty as the source of the problem. I don't reply. I read every message, every missed call notification, and I feel nothing but a cold, hard confirmation that I did the right thing. There isn't a single happy belated birthday. Not one, are you okay? Not a hint of apology. Their panic is entirely, transparently about the money. The services have been disconnected, and they're calling the provider, furious about the outage. My phone rings again. It's Arthur. I almost ignore it, but I answer. His gruff voice is a welcome anchor. Saw you were online. Just checking in, he says. No preamble. It's a mess, Arthur, I say, walking over to my window. I figure it might be, he says. Sometimes when you remove a load-bearing wall, the occupants don't notice the new open space. They just notice the ceiling is starting to sag. I let out a short, sharp laugh. It's the first time I've laughed in days. That's one way to put it. Let it sag, Julian, he says, his voice serious. It's not your job to hold it up anymore. They need to see the structural flaws for themselves. We talk for a few more minutes about the high-rise project. The conversation, a comfortable return to a world of concrete and steel, a world where rules and consequences are clear. When we hang up, I feel a renewed sense of resolve. Arthur was right. I didn't break the house. I just stopped holding up the broken pieces. Now, they have to live in the house they built. For 2 days, the digital assault continues, though it lessens in intensity, replaced by an eerie quiet. They're regrouping, I realize, forming a new strategy. I imagine the frantic phone calls, the planning sessions led by Eliza, the architect of our family's chaos. The new strategy arrives on my doorstep on Tuesday evening. A knock. I'm not expecting anyone. I check the smart doorbell camera on my phone. It's Cody. He's standing on my stoop, hands shoved in his pockets, shifting his weight from foot to foot. He looks like a teenager called to the principal's office. I take a deep breath and open the door. Hey, man, he says, trying for a casual grin that doesn't reach his eyes. I just lean against the door frame, not moving to let him in. Cody, what are you doing here? I was in the area. Thought I'd stop by. Can I come in? I stare at him for a second longer, then step aside. He walks past me into the living room, looking around like he's never seen it before. He's the emissary, sent to negotiate a surrender. My surrender. He sits on the edge of my leather couch. So you're pissed. The question is so blunt, so simplistic, that it almost makes me laugh. I remain standing, crossing my arms. Piss doesn't cover it, Cody. I was humiliated. He holds up his hands in a gesture of peace. Okay, fair enough. But you can't think it was some big conspiracy, man. Eliza just found this steak place she wanted to try. It was a last-minute thing. We didn't think you'd care. There it is. The official party line, crafted by Eliza. We didn't think you'd care. You didn't think I'd care? I repeat, my voice dangerously quiet. About my own birthday dinner? The one I planned, invited you all to, and paid a $500 deposit for. He has the grace to look away, rubbing the back of his neck. Well, when you put it like that, how else am I supposed to put it? I sat alone in that room for an hour. I texted the group. You all saw it. You were sitting at another restaurant with my entire family, and you saw my text, and you did nothing. Eliza said you had your own plans. He blurts out, a pathetic defense. And you believe that? You thought my own plans involved booking a private room and then sitting in it by myself? Use your head, Cody. He shifts uncomfortably. Look, man, you're always so busy with your work stuff, you know? You're always doing your own thing. You're so self-sufficient. The word hangs in the air between us, ugly and transparent. Self-sufficient, I echo, nodding slowly. You mean because I pay for everything? Because I've never once had to call you for a bailout? Because my life is stable enough that I can afford to fix everyone else's? That's what you mean by self-sufficient, isn't it? He doesn't answer. He just stares at his shoes. And in his silence, I have my answer. They see my stability not as something I've worked for, but as a resource for them to draw upon. My success isn't a source of pride for them. It's a convenience. Look, he finally says, changing tactics. Mom and Dad are freaking out. The building manager called Mom about an eviction warning. Dad's afraid to drive the car because the insurance lapsed. Can you just turn everything back on? You've made your point. I walk slowly over to the coffee table and stand directly in front of him, forcing him to look up at me. This isn't a game, Cody. I'm not trying to make a point. This is the new reality. The one you all chose when you decided I wasn't family enough to include. He stands up, a flicker of frustration in his eyes. So what? You just cutting them off? That's messed up, Julian. You're hurting them. No, I say, my voice is cold and hard as steel. I'm not doing anything. For the first time in 10 years, I am doing nothing. You're just finally feeling the consequences of your own actions. He stares at me, his mouth opening and closing silently. He's run out of talking points from Eliza's script. He's got nothing. I should go, he mutters. I just nod and walk to the door, opening it for him. He pauses on the threshold. This is petty, man, he says, one last parting shot. Then maybe you should have come to my party, I reply, and I close the door on his stunned face. If Cody was the emissary, Eliza is the queen herself, arriving for the main assault. She comes on Saturday afternoon. I see her car, a pristine white SUV I helped her with a down payment on, pull up outside my building. She's carrying a box from a fancy downtown bakery. A Trojan horse filled with sugar and manipulation. Part of me wants to ignore the buzz from the front door, but another, stronger part wants to see this through. I need to face the architect of this whole mess. I let her up. She sweeps into my apartment, placing the box of expensive pastries on my kitchen island. She's dressed impeccably, a woman who puts great effort into her appearance. It's her armor. Julian, she says, her voice oozing a false, sweet concern. I was so worried. You weren't answering anyone's calls. I've been busy, I say, not offering her a seat. I stand with my arms crossed, leaning against the counter. I brought pastries, she says, gesturing to the box as if it's an offering to God. Your favorite from Lawrence. Why are you here, Eliza? Her perfect smile falters for a fraction of a second. Why am I here? I'm here because you've gone nuclear and our family is in chaos. Mom is crying every day. Dad is a nervous wreck. You did this. Did I? I ask, raising an eyebrow. Or did I just stop preventing the inevitable? You seem to be confusing my actions with your consequences. She lets out a dramatic sigh, the sigh of a martyr. Okay, look, the dinner. We messed up. It was a stupid, last-minute thing, and we should have called you. We're sorry. Are you happy now? Can you please just call Mom's landlord and fix the rent? The apology is so hollow it echoes. It's a means to an end. A transaction. No, I say simply. Her face darkens. The mask of concern slips, revealing the cold fury beneath. No. What do you mean, no? This isn't a game, Julian. This is mom and dad's security we're talking about. I've been their security for the last decade. I've been the rent, the insurance, the emergency fund. I've been the unpaid therapist and the 24/7 crisis hotline. And in return, you all left me to sit alone on my birthday while you posted pictures online, laughing. So no, I'm not fixing it. This is when she turns on me, her voice dripping with a venom I haven't heard since we were teenagers. You know, this is the problem with you. You always act so high and mighty. You think you're better than us just because you make more money. You sit up here in your perfect glass tower, literally, she gestures around my loft, and you look down on all of us, judging. Her words are meant to hurt, to find a weakness. And for a second, they do. She's twisting my success into a character flaw. That's where you're wrong, Eliza, I say, my voice steady. I never look down on you, but I'm damn sure done letting you all walk all over me. What you see as judgment is just me finally building a boundary. It's new territory for you, I know. You're not used to seeing a fence. A fence? She scoffs. You've built a wall. You're locking out your own family. No, I say, walking past her and picking up the box of pastries. I hold it out to her. I'm just finally locking the door. You don't get to have a key to my house if you're not going to respect the person who lives inside it. Her face is flushed with rage. She can't believe she's losing. The master manipulator has lost control of her primary asset. I hope you're happy, Julian. I hope this power trip is worth it when Mom is getting evicted. She snatches the box from my hand and storms toward the door. I didn't want a power trip, Eliza, I say to her, retreating back. I just wanted a birthday dinner. She doesn't look back. She slams the door behind her, and the sound reverberates through my apartment. For a moment, there's only silence. The battle is over. The Queen's Gambit has been declined, and I'm still standing. The week after Eliza's failed invasion is tense. The silence from her is absolute. She's regrouping, no doubt, but her primary weapon, direct manipulation, has failed. Now comes the war of attrition. Mom's calls become more desperate. She leaves a voicemail, her voice cracking with real panic, talking about a formal eviction notice posted on her door. It's hard to listen to, but I remind myself that her panic is not my responsibility to solve. Her fear is a symptom of a disease that I did not cause, but merely stopped enabling. Then, on Thursday night, something different happens. A crack appears in the wall of their unified front. My phone buzzes with a text from a number I don't expect to see. My dad. It's not in the family group chat. It's a private message, just to me. My finger hovers over the notification, my heart beating a little faster. I brace myself for another guilt trip, another demand disguised as a request. But when I open it, the words on the screen are not what I expected. Dad, son, I've been a coward. I'm sitting here thinking, and that's the only word for it. For years, I let Eliza run the show because it was easier than fighting. It was easier than listening to the silence from your end when you got left out. I saw the blueprints for this disaster years ago, and I approved them by doing nothing. You didn't deserve what happened on your birthday. You didn't deserve any of it. I'm sorry. I read the message 3 times. An apology. A real one. With no strings attached. No, but can you please fix this at the end? He takes responsibility. He names his own failure. Cowardice. It's the most honest thing he's said to me in a decade. It doesn't fix anything, not really, but it's a foundation stone. It's the first piece of solid ground in a swamp of excuses and blame. I don't reply immediately. I need to sit with it. 2 hours later, another buzz. A different kind of crack. It's from a number I rarely hear from, my Aunt Carol, my mother's sister. She's a quiet woman, always on the periphery, financially dependent on the goodwill of my parents, and by extension me. She's always been terrified of Eliza. The message contains no words. It's just a single, simple heart emoji. It's a tiny gesture, but in the context of my family's loud, dramatic war, this quiet signal of support is deafening. It's a whisper that says, I see you. You're not wrong. You're not alone. She knows she can't say more. Eliza would surely punish her for it, cutting her out of the family loop, withholding invitations. But she sent it anyway. A small act of rebellion. A tiny crack in the wall of silence. I sit on my couch, the city lights painting patterns on the floor. For the first time, I feel something other than anger or resolve. I feel a flicker of hope. Maybe the structure isn't rotten to its core. Maybe, just maybe, some parts of it are salvageable. It won't be the same house. It can't be. But maybe with the right demolition and a new set of blueprints, something better can be built in its place. The following Saturday, there's another knock at my door. No call beforehand. This time it's my dad. He's standing there alone, holding 2 paper cups of coffee from the diner down the street. He looks older than I remember from just a few weeks ago. The weight of the situation has settled on his shoulders, etched new lines around his eyes. "Figured you wouldn't answer the phone," he says, his voice raspy. He holds out one of the cups to me. "You figured right," I say, but I take the coffee and step aside to let him in. We don't sit in the living room. We walk out onto my small balcony, which overlooks a tangle of downtown rooftops. The morning air is cool and clean. We lean against the railing, sipping our coffee in a silence that feels different from the earlier, hostile ones. This silence is heavy with things unsaid, but it's not empty. He's the one who breaks it. "I read my text to you about a dozen times after I sent it," he says, staring out at the horizon. It still didn't feel like enough. I take a sip of coffee. It was a start. "I got so used to you being the load-bearing wall. Julian," he says, his voice thick with emotion. "You were just there, strong, silent, holding everything up. I got so used to it, I forgot you were also part of the house. A part that needed its own upkeep." The metaphor, so close to my own thinking, lands perfectly. He gets it. He finally gets it. "The foundation was cracking, Dad," I say, finding my voice. "I've been patching it for years. On my birthday, I realized I wasn't patching it anymore. I was the only thing holding it together. I had to tear it down before I could think about building something new." He nods slowly, running a hand over his face. "Your mother, she doesn't see it that way. She just sees the hole in the wall. And Eliza sees you as a traitor to a country she runs." He lets out a humorless laugh. "I let her become the queen, and I was happy to be a quiet subject. That's on me. What happens now?" I ask, the question genuine. "Well," he says, taking a final sip of his coffee. "For starters, I drove my car here. It's insured. I went to the insurance office myself on Friday. First time in 6 years. Sat there for 2 hours, felt like an idiot, but I did it. I'm paying for it myself. It's a start." He looks at me, his eyes pleading but honest. "And your mother, we're going to have to figure out the rent. We might have to move. Maybe it's for the best. We've been living beyond our means on your dime for too long." It's a stunning admission. He's not here to ask me to fix it. He's here to report that he is, for the first time, trying to fix it himself. "I'm not asking you for money, son," he says, his voice firm. "I'm here to, I don't know, to start over. To ask if, down the road, there's a way to build something better between us." I look at my father, really look at him. I see the coward he admitted to being, but I also see a man trying to be brave, however late in the game. "I think so, Dad," I say. And for the first time, I believe it might be true. But the blueprints are going to have to be different this time. He nods, a small, sad smile touching his lips. "I know," he says. "I'll even let you be the architect." The months that follow are a study in seismic shifting. The family landscape, once a fixed and predictable terrain, is now in constant, slow-motion flux. The changes aren't loud or dramatic. They happen in the quiet spaces, in the actions taken and the words left unsaid. I throw myself into my work, but also into my life. I reactivate my gym membership. I meet Arthur for a beer every other Thursday. We talk about steel tensile strength and the failings of modern concrete, but what we're really talking about is resilience and integrity. His quiet friendship is a form of scaffolding around my own reconstruction. And I work on the cabin. I stop calling a dream and start calling a project. I spend a weekend driving upstate, looking at plots of land. I walk through pine forests, the scent of damp earth and wood smoke filling my lungs. I find a small, overlooked lot on a quiet lake, and I put in an offer. When it's accepted, the feeling isn't the wild elation I expected, but a deep, quiet sense of rightness. I'm finally breaking ground for myself. My contact with the family is sporadic and cautious. I get a long, rambling email from Eliza, a masterwork of non-apology that blames her stress, her childhood, and the position of the moon for her behavior. It ends with a tentative suggestion that we all move forward. I read it, see it for the manipulation it is, and I archive it without a reply. Moving forward, for me, doesn't mean pretending the collapse never happened. It means building on a different plot of land entirely. My mother calls occasionally. Our first few conversations are stilted, awkward dances around the giant, broken thing in the middle of the room. She never asks for money. I never offer. We talk about the weather. We talk about her doctor's appointments. It's surface level, but it's real. She and my dad end up downsizing to a smaller, more affordable apartment across town. I know this because my dad tells me. His voice a mixture of exhaustion and pride. The biggest surprise is Cody. He texts me one afternoon. Hey, game is on tonight. Want to come over? My treat. I'm hesitant, but I agree. His apartment is small and cluttered, a typical bachelor pad. He hands me a beer, and we sit on his mismatched couch. He paid for the pizza. He's paying his own rent. He complains about his bills. He's learning, the hard way, what it means to be self-sufficient. We don't talk about what happened. Not directly. But as I'm leaving, he stops me at the door. Hey, Jules, he says, looking at his feet. That thing with your birthday, that was low. I was a chicken shit. Just wanted you to know. I know, Cody, I say, and I leave it at that. It's enough. I am building new boundaries, not with anger, but with silence and distance. The boundary isn't a wall to keep everyone out. It's a property line. It establishes where my responsibility ends and theirs begins. And slowly, strangely, they are beginning to respect the survey markers. It's awkward. It's not perfect, but it's honest. A year goes by. My 36th birthday arrives not with a sense of dread, but with the smell of fresh-cut lumber and lake water. There is no restaurant reservation. There are no engraved invitations. There's only a rough, gravel road leading to a clearing by a lake. In that clearing stands a skeleton of my A-frame cabin, the roof on, the windows framed but not yet glassed in. The air is filled with the whine of a power saw and the rhythmic thud of a hammer. My celebration is a work site. My dad is here. He's grayer, a little stooped, but he's learned how to use a nail gun. He's meticulously installing the decking, his movements slow but sure. He looks happier than I've seen him in years. Arthur is here, too. He drove up for the day, bringing a cooler of beer and a laser level he insisted I needed. He sits in a camping chair, sipping a beer and shouting unhelpful advice, a grin on his face. That joist is a 16th of an inch off, Julian. The whole thing's compromised. Cody is here. He showed up an hour ago, unannounced, with a giant box of pizza and a sheepish grin. He's not great with a hammer, but he's a champion at carrying things. He's helping my dad, the two of them working together in a comfortable, easy rhythm. There is no cake. There are no presents, aside from Arthur's laser level. My phone buzzes once. It's a text from my mom. Happy birthday, honey. I hope it's a wonderful day. There is no request attached. I text back, thanks, Mom. It is. I hear nothing from Eliza, and the silence is a gift. Later, as the sun begins to set, casting a golden glow over the lake, we stop working. We sit on the edge of the unfinished deck, our legs dangling over the side, drinking cold beer and eating pizza from a box. The conversation is easy. We talk about the plan for the plumbing, about the fishing on the lake, about the upcoming football season. I lean back on my hands, looking at the frame of my house silhouetted against the pink and orange sky. I look at the small group of men gathered here. My father, rebuilding our relationship one nail at a time. My brother, showing up because he wants to, not because he needs to. My friend, who was my bedrock when my own foundation crumbled. I didn't lose a family. I just edited it down to the essential structure. The parts that were true and strong. This quiet, hard-working, peaceful day is the greatest birthday gift I've ever received. I didn't get the intimate family dinner I wanted a year ago. Instead, I got something infinitely better. I got a housewarming for my own soul, and I was finally building it myself on solid ground.